By the time this video releases, we're probably a day late. But anyway, happy birthday, Kamal Hassan from Jaby KOAY and ACHARA KIRK. Some of you who clicked on this video saw a 15, 16 minute runtime probably, but it's just us staring at the camera in honor of Kamal Hassan.
Yes.
All right, should we watch this?
Okay.
Kamal Hassan, a nostalgic revisit to 61 years of Ulaganayagan in Indian cinema. Kamal Hassan movies.
Ulaganayagan.
What is it?
I don't know. Ulaganayagan.
All right, here we go.
As one of the crowning legends of Indian cinema reaches 61 years of being in it, here's an opportune moment to look at what has made Kamal Hassan, well, Kamal Hassan, or as he is fondly referred to being, Ulaganayagan.
Ulaganayagan. There we go.
Ulaganayagan.
He got a medal at 6 years old?
Ulaganayagan. I never heard that before. Ulaganayagan. Ulaganayagan. I'm gonna just keep saying it. Burn it into my brain. Ulaganayagan.
Whoa, that was quick. Thank God I don't have epilepsy. Ulaganayagan. There we go.
As already well known, it began with this little kid of 3 who portrayed such variety of emotions in his very first film as a child actor. The fact that even at that age, he could bring in such a range of expressions on his little face with those big eyes, a performance that got him his first national award. Looking at it now feels like that was the beginning of a glorious destiny. Several years later, you saw him again on screen as a teenager. Talented actor again, not a big name as such, but just one among many without any particular spotlight on him. Did you see him then and go, hey, this one's pretty talented, not sure who that is, but he can go places? So when did you become a Kamal Hassan fan? Were you the one who suddenly discovered him with his super success as what they call a hero and went like, this guy acts, fights his own fights, dances better than most?
It's cute.
Pretty good at singing as well.
Oh, wow, okay.
And how is he able to do so much? Were you charmed by the romantic hero or rooting for the guy whose love met a tragic end once, then again, and again? Feels like being emotionally blackmailed, but hey, he did make you feel for him, didn't he? By now, you know this guy dances well. I mean, pretty well. You think you've seen all of it, but then comes another performance that cannot be redone because no superstar can simply match him when it comes to doing all these different forms of classical dance.
Wow.
He moves like no one ever before.
I remember
Not
being
quite as
impressed with that in
effortlessly.
Vishwagurupam.
The personal journey of the Bharatanatyam dancer who quit everything for his dance training finally seems to have got its due. What about, say, Kamal 2.0? Seeing him portray the grey shades of a man who was a dawn for many, savior for others. Perhaps a god-devil paradox, something that we will see in his characters later very often, especially with the ones he writes. He does a much-loved silent film in the times when bringing up the idea of making one would make people go, are you guys teleported or something? Dude, we have talkies and color films. What is the point of doing this now? But of course, the film is made and the novel approach pays off. The novelty is still widely talked about. Then he reappears
I'd like to
as
see
the
that.
kind of hero we have truly never seen before. The adorable little Apu. Literally little.
Oh.
The man who is made vengeful by painful rejection and knowing how he came to be.
I gotta see that.
I mean, no offense
That
to Raja,
predates,
great guy,
Zero.
but
Yeah.
We all agree Apu stole the show and remains the most loved dwarf hero to date. No, I'm not bragging. That's just, well, stating a plain fact. To anyone who at that time thought, hey, this guy played two characters, One of them was a dwarf. He did it brilliantly. How better can it get from here? Well, were you prepared to see him play 4 characters in a comedy that would have its own cult following? Then an emotionally and mentally sort of stunted protagonist in another drama that gets again its own cult following? What about another reference to The Godfather, where perhaps his skill and acclaim as the writer takes over his recognition as the hero of the film? That is a pretty epic feat for someone who has done so much already as a superstar actor. Let's get to a single moment that speaks for itself. A father who, after long separation from his children, goes out looking for them, then discovers his daughter in the most shocking condition that one could not have even imagined. Or when he hears her speak while asleep. More like what he hears her say. Perhaps one of the most heart-aching moments one has ever seen on screen. Did you love him then as the actor, the writer, or both? What about seeing him play a police officer in a film unlike most cop films even now? Or the honest, patriotic, idealistic freedom fighter who you probably couldn't recognize the first time? I mean, this guy is of course Kamal Haasan. Yeah, of course. But is he Kamal Haasan? Is he not? Who is that? Well, looking at the career by now, yeah, that is him.
Wow.
This was immediately followed by playing a father who is pretending to be a middle-aged female caretaker just to be near his child.
Mrs.
The
Doubtfire.
look, the mannerisms, the whole effect of the performance was, well, I think if you have a sip of water every time I say, unlike ever before, you'd be very hydrated. So yeah, probably have a sip now. Of course, there's the brilliant Mr. Robin Williams, but to cast your own identity in a character that will be compared to a strong Hollywood reference, he did it once and he did it again. Reaching these supreme heights of stardom, we have a filmmaker who is longing to come out of the shadows. He comes out in a brilliantly led and nuanced semi-fictional portrayal of the times of post-partition. An experiment with the truth of how communal hatred not only marked a violent and bloody beginning of India's independence, but also claimed the life of the father of the nation. It was about that bullet of hatred that did not cease to exist even after that assassination, making this film as relevant now as a film can be.
எல்லாம் சிவமயம் என்று சொல்லிவிட்டார். எனக்கு எல்லாம் பயமயம். Sorry.
After a comedy that also brings in the plight of Sri Lankan Tamils, the violence that they have endured, you have a film that you can say was truly ahead of its time. Perhaps what makes people appreciate an Alavandan or Abhay now is our access to pop culture elements in the film that are a staple in Hollywood. But before internet familiarized these elements to our masses, there was Alavandan. It existed before a show like Mindhunter popularized the link between a problematic mother figure and psychopathy, and even before you accepted that violence in 2D animation was bad for child psychology but cool as hell to watch. Yes, the God-Devil paradox is also back, and it will be more distinctly popularized here on. You wish to be more hydrated? Maybe consider having a sip of water every time I say cult, because we have come to Panchatantiram and Anbisivam, two films that, as millennial lingo articulates, have a separate fan base of their own. Then when he returns as Viramandi, he once again gives a film that will familiarize us with Rashomon effect as a narrative style. The unreliability of what we see as the definite nature of what we call the truth, and present a very thought-provoking take on capital punishment, a rather unpopular stance to take even now.
Doctor Dr. MBBS.
Of course, then there were much loved performances of the goon turned doctor, the instinctive and suave police officer, in between a black comedy that is unlike escapist ones that we are so used to. It was more grounded and capturing everyday life in its approach. By this time, perhaps our folks probably thought, yeah, this is it. Probably it. I mean, seriously, how can someone push any further? What is he going to do now? Play 10 characters in one movie? So, guess what happened?
What?
Yep, you know it. The man wrote a film that talks about the evolution and conflict between religion and science, theism and rationalism, mentioning chaos theory, butterfly effect, talking about the stupidity of bio-warfare or at least even planning for one, while having 10 characters that represent different religions, views, nationalities, socio-political standing based on the 10 reincarnation of Lord Vishnu. That was the writing part. Then comes playing these 10 characters. Can we speak frankly for a moment and say that that was crazy? Absolutely batshit crazy. This is as mad as it gets, folks. Mad in a good way, you see. Then came one film that brought the whole nation together before hooliganism in the name of demanding ban on films got a whole new validation. This is a film that presented a balanced look at terrorism set on a grand scale, sensitizing viewers about the wrongly stigmatized religious identities, a Muslim man with Kashmir in his name and a terrorist father, easily accepted as a terrorist himself but misunderstood, questioned over his nationality, his patriotism, while fighting those who are brainwashed into committing violence for those seeking more power and control in the name of religion. Thankfully, the layered and nuanced take on terrorism reached one and all after a nationwide support for the art and the artist. Recently, we've had an interesting look at three fathers, different from one another for their struggles are different. One explores themes like mortality, pursuit of art that outlives him, and being accepted by those he had lost in his pursuit of stardom. The second looks to protect his family and go to any extent for it. By the end, even those you root for are stained and perhaps emotionally damaged beyond repair. The third father is again an emotionally distant one, having the grey shades we associate with his characters by now, again made vulnerable when confronted with protecting his own. That is some of the work from Kamal Haasan's journey, spanning 61 years.
It's wild.
Of course, we would have missed talking about certain films, maybe rushed over a few, but the fact that it takes this long to just touch upon his illustrious career is evidence of his longevity as a film artist. So obviously, one video will not suffice for talking about over 200 films. As fans, we have all grown, even evolved, watching him. A lot of us became active film buffs because of him. So here's our naive hope of having more to celebrate and talk about in the coming years. Happy 61 years of Kamalism. Happy 61 years of Kamal Haasan in Indian cinema.
Okay.
Lord almighty, Jesus.
Wow.
You know,
That's incredible.
just like with the New Testament, I really, really want to know what the heck happened between the time he was a kid and a grown-up.
Well,
They
they said he still did a film when he was a teenager.
Right, but there was a lot of lost years in there, and I want to know what went on. You know, they stopped with Jesus at 13, then he comes back at 30. What the hell happened between? You know,
He went to school.
So I was very, very curious about that because in that time apart, like, did he just go to school? Was he like refining himself as an actor? Like, what made him decide to come back? Like, those are some interesting details. I mean, this is obviously just covering his filmography more than anything, and like what he accomplished during that time. But something happened during that era that informed him to come back and keep doing this.
Yeah,
Like, you know.
I mean, it would appear that being as young as he was in his first film and being as outstanding as he was to receive an award, like, it's not often that people just willy-nilly give awards to children.
Right.
Like, it doesn't happen all that often, so you have to be pretty damn spectacular to be deserving of an award like that when you're just a child. And so I seem to think that he's just someone who has that artistic fire within him, and it just, you know, it's something that's carried throughout his life, and you can see that in the choices of movies that he's done, in the versatility, in the fact that he not only acts, he also writes and directs. So he's a storyteller and a filmmaker as well. Like, that's just part of his being. And like, how amazing and how fortunate is it to have discovered that at such a young age, to like find your passion and your path and that amazing talent that you have to share with the world. It's incredible.
Yeah. Over here in the States, it's not that often you have young talent that continues into adulthood and is sane, is normal, perfectly level-headed, and continuing to do all those things. I mean, the first person that comes to my brain that is successful in the West that started out when he was a kid is Christian Bale.
Oh yeah, that's right, yeah.
And he had his episodes that were made very, very public on Terminator, Salvation.
Yep.
And so he doesn't write or direct, he just acts.
Yeah. What about JGL?
Yeah, but like he doesn't have the stardom that KAMAL HAASAN has, or Christian Bale for that matter. Like he's famous, but not like on that level. But yes, he is someone that acts, writes, and directs. But I don't think that JGL has the versatility that KAMAL HAASAN displays through his films. And that's the thing that I find so profound and so interesting is KAMAL HAASAN's ability to be these people who are so far removed from who he is, which is normal, just like normal people. I hear like gunshots or something outside, or like, is that what do you call it?
Firecrackers?
Not fire. Oh, maybe it's a firecracker because Biden won as of this recording, and so we'll see what Trump does with the Supreme Court. But anyway, yeah. So the versatility he displays is profound, and his ability to play these people, like the stuff that struck me was when he was playing every time he played a dad. And like when he was holding his daughter who was in the streets.
I nearly cried.
Yeah, and it's like you don't even have context for it, but you see it and it starts to like hit you, just the way he's displaying the emotions. Yeah, it's incredible to be able to feel that while hearing this lady narrate over it, not having any context for the film, and you still feel some kind of an emotional response to the imagery because of the way he's crying. It's so realistic. And so it just makes me wonder, like, where does he get the life's experience for all this stuff if he's so busy making movies his whole life? It's so interesting.
I think it's just in the power of empathy. He must just be someone who has so much empathy for different people that he can kind of put himself in their shoes and be able to live their lives, even though maybe in his own personal life being someone, as you say, who's constantly acting and maybe not having done life the normal way. Like he can play everyone from all walks of life, and he can even play people with different nationalities, different genders.
I'm very curious about that movie.
Yeah, I know.
Roles, because some of the makeup looks questionable, but I'm still curious about his performance within the film. Yeah. So,
because it can be hard when you've got prosthetics and stuff like that to kind of push a performance through and make it work.
Well, what strikes me is that he is looking to push himself. He's not looking to impress you. He's not looking to impress the audience so much as just challenge himself and see where he can take it to the next level and see how else he can like just shape himself even more. Yeah. You know, sharpen his tools and get new skills and just like, what else can he do? What else can I do? Like when you've become the king of your craft, like what else can you do?
And I think that's the thing, like he really is a craftsman. Yeah. You know, like you have actors who are superstars and who are super successful in their field doing their genre. Right. They do them. They do their shtick, and that's cool. Like, no hate, that's one way to be, and that's fantastic. You can be super successful in that way, or you can be like him and just be like, I'm just gonna keep surprising you guys, and I'm just gonna keep being an artist and doing my thing. And I think that's awesome as well. And to have a career for 61 years is incredible in anything, let alone acting.
I can't think of an American equivalent, honestly. Yeah. Of someone who is extremely versatile as an actor and also is able to write and direct at the level that he does. So that's definitely noteworthy and crazy. Jesus. Yeah. And inspiring. Very, very inspiring. Because, yeah, anyway, that's great. You guys, thanks so much for hanging out, and hopefully you enjoyed some of that. Happy birthday, Kamal Hassan. And check out ACHARA KIRK on the social media, as well as the jabs, if you feel like doing that. I am Jaby KOAY. This is
ACHARA KIRK.
Peace out.